Good morning. I'm Kate, a member of the congregation at Bethel Baptist Church in Swavesey, and I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you all to join with us all in our all-age worship service this morning. The theme of this morning's worship service is the Bible. What does it mean to you? And it came from the idea of helping us to learn more and to love our Bibles, God's precious word to us. Heavenly Father, who through the power of the Holy Spirit caused all Holy Scripture to be written for our learning, we pray that we would diligently study your word, read, mark, learn, and inwardly digest all that you have graciously provided for us, so that we may come to a knowledge of salvation and your will for our lives. Open the eyes of our understanding and prepare our hearts by the power of your Spirit, that we may receive your word with much joy and rejoicing. And may we leave today having a deeper understanding of who you are. May we, like Job, wonder at your glory and majesty as we unfold the precious truths that are contained within its pages. And may we say like him, I have heard of you with my ears, but now you open my eyes to spiritual truths and understanding that I never had before. This we ask in the precious name of our Lord and Saviour, Jesus Christ. Amen. To start, we thought that it would be a good idea to test our knowledge about the Bible. So we've put together a 9-question quiz for you. And we thought that we would give you 10 minutes to go away, have a look at the questions, and then come back and we will share the answers with you then. So on your marks, get set, go. Good luck. Welcome back. How did you do? I'm going to give you the answers now so that you can tick them off and see how well you did. But don't worry, you don't need to share your score with us. So the first question is, what is the best-selling book of all time? And the answer is, of course, the Bible. It has sold over 3.9 billion copies in the last 50 years. What are the first 3 words in the Bible? And the answer is, of course, in the beginning. How many books are there in the Bible? The answer is there are 66 books in total, 39 in the Old Testament and 27 in the New Testament. How many languages has the Bible been translated into? And the answer is the whole Bible has been translated into 698 languages, and the New Testament has been translated into a staggering 1,548 languages. How long did it take to write this enormous book? It took over 1,000 years to write the Old Testament and a period of between 50 and 75 years to write the New Testament. So what is the shortest book in the Bible? And the answer is 3 John. What is the longest book in the Bible? And the answer is Jeremiah. What does the word Bible actually mean? The answer is the word Bible comes from the Greek ta biblia, which actually means the scrolls or the books. And the final question, the Bible informs the tradition of which 3 major religions? And the answer, of course, is Christianity, Judaism and Islam. So well done to all of you. Thank you very much for taking part.
September is a period of new beginnings, both for us as a fellowship and outside of church as we return back to work and school. As life gets busier, it's even more important that we spend time with God's Word. You might have noticed a verse of the day being shared this week on Facebook and via email. We're hoping that everyone will join in and share their own verse and why it's meaningful to them. Just send them to the admin email and I'll continue to share them with the fellowship throughout this month and hopefully longer. You might have remembered that the first verse this week was John chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Our next song beautifully puts this to music.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was Mum, can you iron my shirts for tomorrow?
I've just finished this line.
Mum, where did I put?
I've just finished this page.
Mum, I can't reach my pencil case on the top shelf.
Okay, I'll just finish this chapter.
Becky, you said you were going to make the coffees.
Right, I've just finished this book. I love reading, and I've done a lot more of it during lockdown. Just before lockdown on Mothering Sunday, I got bought a Kindle. At first, I didn't really like it because I like the feel of a book, the flicking of the pages, getting to the last page and the smell, especially of a new book. But actually, I'm a convert now. It meant when I went on holiday this year, I didn't have to take half a suitcase full of books. I could just decide on holiday when I finished one book which new book to download. And it also meant that I didn't wake up Jason when I had to turn on a light in the middle of the night or early in the morning when I wanted to carry on reading. I could just use my Kindle. Books are really exciting and have loads of information in them, can take you to very different worlds. But sometimes I get so engrossed in a book, I forget what's going on around me. I want to tell you a story about a girl called Mary Jones who lived about 200 years ago. And she didn't have any books in her house because her and her parents couldn't read. However, she loved to go to church to hear the vicar reading the Bible. One day she used to go over to her friend's house, the Evanses, and they used to have a massive big family Bible, and they would read it, and they said if Mary Jones learnt to read, then she could go round to their house and read the Bible for herself. When she was 10, Mary Jones was really excited because she was able to go to the local school, and there she learnt to read, and every day she would go round to the Evanses to read the next part of the Bible. But it still made her feel sad that she didn't have one of her own. So she decided to do lots of jobs for people to save up to buy her own Bible. She'd do things like collect twigs for people's fires. She had a hen and she would sell the eggs so that she could make more money. And eventually she saved up enough money. She heard that there was a place that she could buy a Bible. However, it was 26 miles away. She decided to walk that 26 miles. So one day she got up, she took her bag and her shoes and she walked 26 miles across the Welsh valleys and over the hills. When she got to Thomas Corey's house, when Mary Jones arrived at Thomas Charles's house to collect the Bible, she was really disappointed to hear that he had a couple of Bibles left, but he'd promised to sell them to other people. She was so tired and so disappointed because she'd saved up for so long to get her own Bible that she burst into tears. And Thomas Charles realised how important that Bible was to Mary. So he decided to sell her his own Bible instead. So she bought that Bible, she stayed overnight at his house and then walked the 26 miles at home again so that she could have her very own Bible and read it whenever she wanted to. That was how important Mary Jones felt the Bible was to her. Most of us have probably got at least one Bible in the house. Many of us have got a lot more than that. We're really lucky, but we can often take for granted what we've got. Mary Jones worked really hard to earn the money to buy a Bible, and then, as we saw, walked 26 miles to get her Bible and 26 miles back. But how much do we value God's word today? I know that sometimes I can ashamedly say that I can go for days, maybe even weeks, without reading my Bible, apart from if I go to church or house group or something. And sometimes if I do read my Bible, I'm doing it as something to tick off my to-do list rather than because I really want to engage in God's word. Over lockdown, I've tried to spend a lot more time with God, and I've done that by using a variety of different Bibles and Bible notes. In our house, we've got lots of different children's Bible. We've got the Action Bible, which is a comic book. We've got the Linked Up Bible, which is a bit like Tom Gates, the author. We've got the Adventure Bible, and then we've got some modern translations like the Message. Sometimes I might use traditional Bible notes where it gives you a verse and then an explanation. But more recently, I've come into the modern age and I've used a Bible app. Lectos 365 is the one I use, but I know that lots of people use Pray As You Go. Wouldn't it be great if this week we could spend time with God reading our Bible, not because we have to or because we ought to, but because we want to, with that same enthusiasm that Mary Jones had 200 years ago. God's word, the Bible, is not just a great story. I mean, it is great and it is true, but there's so much more than that. His word guides us through life. It renews our minds and sets us free. In our next song, we can ask God to speak through his word and set us free. Maybe as we sing, we can make a promise in our hearts to God that we will spend time reading his word and looking at the Bible over the next week or so.
Your word, oh Lord, is my delight. It plants me like a tree that's rooted by the streams of life. So Lord, set your word in me. Your word, oh Lord, it lights my way, and by this light I see. It guides me in every step I take. So Lord, set your word in me. Speak, oh Lord, speak, oh Lord, we are ready to receive. Speak, oh Lord, through your mighty word, oh, set your word in me. Your word, oh Lord, renews my mind with truth that sets me free. And in this truth I am sanctified. So Lord, set your word in me. Speak, oh Lord, speak, oh Lord, we are ready to receive. Speak, oh Lord, through your mighty word, oh, set your word in me. Speak, oh Lord, speak, oh Lord, we are ready to receive. Speak, oh Lord, through your mighty word, oh, set your word in me. Your word, oh Lord, is my delight. It plants me like a tree that's rooted by the streams of life. So Lord, set your word in me. So Lord, set your word in me.
Lots of people have favourite Bible verses that have helped them in difficult times in life, or that they really felt that they've heard God speak through them at that time through his written word. We're going to hear from 4 or 5 people who regularly come to our church about what their favourite Bible verse is and why it's so important to them.
My favourite Bible verse is Psalm 23, verse 4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. This is from my granddad's favourite psalm, and this reminds us that God is walking with us.
I have chosen my verse of Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, because this verse was on nearly all my birthday cards on my 21st birthday, which was a long time ago, and it has cropped up all through my life in different situations. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take.
My favourite verse is John 3, verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, so that those who believe in him will not die but will have eternal life. In my opinion, this sums up what Christianity is to me.
Hello and welcome. I was delighted to be asked to present one of my favourite Bible stories, but the question is, which one? During lockdown, I had plenty of time to sort out the loft, the shed, the garage, the dining room, the lounge, and in one of those boxes I came across favourite Bible stories. Don't know whether it was bought for myself or one of my older brothers, but it contains absolutely gorgeous pictures that accompany each story. And of course the other thing, the aroma, beautiful. Now, a lot of you are aware I absolutely adore animals. At one stage here in Vermeulen Way, I had 10 pets, some with 4 legs, some with 2 legs, some with no legs. They were the fish. I also used to enjoy watching animal programmes as a child. Who can remember Galloping Home by Dennis King, the theme music to Black Beauty? Once you've heard that, you're humming it for the rest of the day. Now, the story I've chosen is Daniel in the Lion's Den. I've chosen this because it meant a lot to me as a child. Unfortunately, when I was younger, I was quite tall for my age, I was quite well covered for my age, and I wore glasses at a very young age. So I tended to be picked on because I was a bit different, unfortunately. But this story meant a lot. It gave me the support that I wasn't different. There was somebody out there looking after me. There was a friend out there. So much so, my parents even bought the Ladybird version for me. So, here we go. We're going to read Daniel in the Lion's Den. Daniel lived in a land where there were many princes. To him, God gave great wisdom and understanding in dreams. And Darius the king made him chief ruler, even above the princes. The princes, jealous of Daniel, persuaded the king to sign a decree that if any man prayed to God, he should be cast into a den of lions. Even loyalty to his king could not turn Daniel from his faith in God. Throwing open wide his windows, Daniel continued to pray 3 times a day, giving thanks to God. When the king heard this, he was sad and wished to save Daniel, but the princes insisted that he must keep the law he had made, so he commanded that Daniel be cast into the den of lions, saying, God will surely deliver thee. That night the king could not sleep, and early in the morning he went to the den and found Daniel alive and unharmed. And Daniel said, O king, live forever. My God has sent his angels and has shut the lions' mouths, and they have not hurt me. Darius freed Daniel from the den, and he knew that Daniel had been kept safe because he believed in God. He made a decree that people should worship the God who had delivered Daniel from the lions. In God have I put my trust. I will not be afraid what man can do unto me. And that's the plate that goes with it.
Psalm 119 is the longest psalm in the Bible with 176 verses. The theme of Psalm 119 is God's word, the Bible, is true and wonderful. Stay true to God and his word, no matter how bad the world around you becomes. No one knows who wrote Psalm 119, but some people suggest it was Ezra the priest. I'm going to read verses 9 to 12, not all the way to 176. How can a young person stay pure? By obeying your word and following its rules. I have tried my best to find you. Don't let me wander from your commands. I have hidden your word in my heart, that I might not sin against you. Blessed are you, O Lord. Teach me your principles. We're in Heifers. We've come to the Bible section. We actually came to get this. But I found an amazing Bible that's it's like looking inside my own head, and I might have to buy it. I bought it as my I made it through lockdown gift, the infographic Bible. So those verses from Psalm 119, I was thinking about verse 10, where it says, I've tried my best to find you. Don't let me wander from your commands. Finding something like this, which really works for you, is an amazing way of getting the Bible to stick in your head, because in so many ways God's word will try and fall out of your head, and you've got to find a way to keep it in. So I thought I'd show you a couple of these pages. It's literally like looking inside my head when I read the Bible. So I found this page, which shows the words that are prayed. So in the Bible, so the bigger the word is, the more often it is prayed. And then this one, which is the Bible's big picture from beginning to end. God is love. God's plan from the beginning of Genesis to Revelation. In picture form, in infographic form. Isn't that genius? What a cool Bible. No, it's not a Bible like the words of the Bible. So you read it alongside an ordinary Bible. But this sort of book, if it really works for you, is a great way of fulfilling that verse of Psalm 119, verse 10.
Hopefully, if you're under 13 this week, you would have received a goodie pack of activities. There's some crafts in there, there's some activities for you to read, and there's even a game of snakes and ladders, which will help you to understand why reading the Bible can sometimes be hard, but also how we can make reading the Bible easier. So you might want to carry on doing that now or at the end of today's service. But if you do something that you really like, why not send in a picture to the church administrator so that we can share it on Facebook and in church?
So we've been thinking about what the Bible means to us, and perhaps we've been personally challenged. We've heard about how precious it is, and how one person, Mary Jones, went to great lengths to obtain her own copy. People have shared their favourite verses, and now we're going to find out a bit more from a couple of people with their favourite verse and how they spend their quiet time.
Hi Ruth, it's lovely to see you.
Hi Sue.
And thank you so much for agreeing to contribute to this service, which, as you know, and we've all understood so far, is about the Bible and what it means to us. So wondered if you'd share what your favourite Bible verse is.
Yes, I will. There's many different versions, but the one I still like is from the King James's version, which is Luke 24, verse 15. And it says, Jesus himself drew near and went with them.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So why is that so special or important to you?
Well, I hope I don't cry. It was given to us on our wedding day.
Oh, lovely.
That was why I like it so much.
Yeah. And has that helped you through the many years that you've been married?
Yes, it has, yes.
Yeah.
And the difficulties and the ups and downs you have in life, yes,
that's
certainly.
Right. And I believe you have it there. Someone's framed it for you?
Yes, this is what, is that okay?
That's lovely, yeah.
Mary Crump did it for us.
Lovely.
As a present.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I have it up in the lounge.
Oh, that's lovely. Super. Well, some of them people have been challenged, I think, through the service today, and wondered if you'd be happy to share with other people how you spend your quiet time.
Well, I must admit I have to do it before I get out of bed in the morning.
Why not? Why not, indeed?
Because if I didn't do it then, Sue, it would never get done.
Right.
Not always it works out, that I do it every morning, but I'm sure I'm not the only one who can say that. Yes, I usually have it before I get out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually have this little book.
Yep.
Which you actually introduced me to it. And
right.
I find it very good. There's a nice reading and then a little bit of sort of something that you can read as well.
Okay, so it sort of helps you to understand the passage, doesn't it?
Yes, and not too long. So that, and sometimes it's just what I need for the day.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Surprised really that, and it helps you through the day if you can start off. But I don't think it really matters when you do it. I think it's when it's convenient for you, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And starting the day with God can't be a bad thing, can it?
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Sets you up for the day.
Yes.
Lovely. That's great. And it's lovely to hear from you and your experience, because I'm sure it might prompt an idea for somebody else to try it and see if it works for them as well.
Yeah.
So a really big thank you then for sharing your thoughts and your verse with us today. Okay. And really appreciate the time that you've given us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue, and God bless everybody.
Thank you. Hello, Ed, and thank you for agreeing to contribute to our service today, which is all about the Bible and what it means to us. So what for you is your favourite Bible verse?
Well, I mean, this is a really tricky question for anybody, choosing just one verse. But the one I've gone with is in the book of Micah. It's quite a famous one, and it's Micah chapter 6 and verse 8. And it says this: "What does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." So that's my verse. And I love this verse because of its simplicity. I've spent my whole working life as a scientist tackling really tricky problems, complicated problems. And when it comes to spiritual things, I really like things simple, so I can understand. And this particular verse starts off with a really straightforward question. What does God want of us? It's a fundamental, a really basic question that we should all be asking. We should all be asking ourselves all the time. And then the verse goes on to give what I think is a really clear answer. Act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. Justice, mercy, and humility. If these aren't the characteristics we should be aspiring to, then what is? We've got this walk humbly with your God, that vertical relationship with God that's key to all the horizontal relationships with other people. So, it makes so much sense to me. And I think this verse was probably in the mind of the lawyer that asked Jesus about eternal life. And Jesus asked him in turn, what does the law say? And he said, love the Lord your God with everything you've got and love your neighbour as yourself. It's actually the same idea. Get that relationship with God right, and the relationships with other people go hand in hand with that. And Jesus endorsed what the lawyer said and said, do this and you will live. That's a pretty exciting idea. So I think we can get so hung up on sort of complicated questions about faith and this and that. But actually it's really simple. Love God, love your neighbour. And that's what I get from this verse, and that's why it's one of my favourites.
Lovely. And yeah, that's lovely for you to share as well, so much about what's behind it. And what we're trying to encourage people is to really get a new love for the Bible, so that we get to read it more regularly, perhaps. So I wondered if you'd mind sharing about how you spend your quiet time. I'm sure you've had many in your career.
I have, and at different stages in life, it's been different. As a student, I used to be very diligent, and every lunchtime go to the chapel at university because nobody else used it.
Yeah.
So it was really quiet, and I would read my Bible whilst having my lunch.
Okay. Yeah.
Which seemed like a very good use of time. And I learned a lot at that time. At other times, having a quiet time as such has been quite difficult. When you're living in a tent that's 7 foot by 7 foot with one other person, it's kind of intense, but you can still read your Bible.
Yeah.
And that in itself is an act of witness. These days, I really like my outdoors quiet times.
Lovely, yeah.
I like when I'm walking around the fields near here, or when I'm out sawing wood, for example.
Yeah.
I start off reciting the Lord's Prayer in rhythm to what I'm doing, whether it's the walking or whether it's the sawing.
Yeah.
the Lord's Prayer is a very rhythmic thing, and it's, again, a simple and fundamental thing to me, because it reminds us of who God is. It reminds us of our relationship with him. It reminds us to seek his forgiveness and to accept that forgiveness. And so it's really, really good thing for each time rebuilding your relationship with God. And I find that doing that kind of, it's rather meditative.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I may say the prayer several times as I'm walking around a field. And I find that it takes time to really put aside the, you know, buzzing thoughts of ordinary everyday life, and to become spiritually receptive. And that's one of the things I like about that sort of exercise, in that it gets you into a place where you can concentrate on God and put all the other stuff of life aside for a while. And you know, during a working life, that can be difficult. It's difficult to find that time. And it's one of the things I'm looking forward to about retirement.
Brilliant, yeah.
There may actually be more time for better quality quiet times.
Brilliant. Well, I'm sure some people would be challenged and perhaps, you know, might think of doing something similar, because it's by hearing other people's experiences that makes people think, oh yeah, perhaps that would work for me. So thank you so much for sharing with us today and agreeing to something of what the Bible means to you as well, and sharing that with us. So Ed, thank you once again. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So let's now join together in the words of the next song, How Great is Our God, knowing that when we read God's word, this is what we will learn and find out about him and how we can see the splendour of our King.
The splendor of the King, clothed in majesty, let all the earth rejoice, all the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, and darkness tries to hide, and trembles at his voice, and trembles at his voice. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? Oh, we'll see how great is our God. And age to age he stands, and time is in his hands, beginning and the end, beginning and the end. The Godhead three in one, Father, Spirit, Son, the Lion and the Lamb, the Lion and the Lamb. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? Oh, we'll see how great is our sing with me, how great is our God. Oh, we'll see how great is our God.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for your word and all that it teaches us. We admit that sometimes we may treat reading the Bible as just another thing that we need to get done. Help us to have a passion to read your word, especially as we realise some people do not have easy access to a Bible. So when we spend time with your word in the coming days and weeks, help us to read it with expectation, listening carefully, and savouring what you have said. And now, may God's word be in our hearts. May God's word be on our lips. May God's word be in our touch. May God's word direct our feet. On this day and all our days to come, may God's word be the life we live. Amen.
A good day to you all, and here are the notices for today, Sunday the 6th of September 2020. The now familiar Zoom sessions will be held during the week. Just one or two variations though. Don't forget that the Wednesday house group will not be meeting this week, the 10th. They will resume their meetings the following week. And we've made a couple of changes to the private prayer sessions on Sunday today and Thursday. So we shall be meeting for private prayer at the church between 6 and 7 o'clock today and on following Sundays, and between 11 and 12 o'clock in the morning on Thursdays. And can I remind you of the monthly Zoom prayer meeting focusing on the future of the church, Bethel, which will be held tomorrow evening, Monday the 7th of September at 8 o'clock. That is also on Zoom. They're all the notices that I have for this week. So thank you for joining us for today's worship service, and we look forward to you joining us again next week. So may God bless you throughout this coming week and prosper you in all that you do in the name of Jesus.